variety of Eastern modalities to help bring all the bodies back into alignment. And I also work on spaces and animals as well. And I define alignment as where healing meets guidance, because when you come in for a session, I do end up channeling a lot. And so it's like custom curated guidance to where you are in that moment. And I work on people and all the things, like anything that holds energy. I do virtual or in person. I also do Reiki trainings if people are open to that. And you can find me like basically if you know my name and you spell it correctly, like think of Tory Burch and Saks Fifth Avenue, that's basically my name, but like other brands. But if you can spell my name, you can find me on all the social media pretty much. And then my website is www.torysaks.com.
When it comes to energy, from your experience, what are some of the obstacles that people are facing in identifying their own energy?
So a few things. One thing when you ask that comes to mind for me is boundaries, right? So if we don't have good boundaries, then like we are actually like I was working on someone earlier today and just like some of the things that they've been conditioned to do, right? And so they're literally taking on, and we do this all the time, even just by like going to the grocery store or witnessing things, we take on other people's energy and then we think we're having this emotion, right? Like, oh, I'm sad or oh my gosh, I'm feeling, shame or whatever, but really it's not yours, right? It belongs to someone else. So it's really about working on your boundaries and shielding or protecting yourself so that you can differentiate.
I think I experienced that a couple of days ago. An ex-girlfriend reached out to me. I was like, oh my
Mm,
God, please. And she was talking about something that's going on in her house, between her and her sister.
yeah,
And the rest of the day, I was like, I don't have my usual energy. And then
right.
I pinpoint, I was like, oh my God, there's a shift when I was speaking to
Mm,
her.
yeah.
Does that happen where some people's energies shift after a conversation? Like it could be that immediate?
Totally, totally. Like, I mean, you're talking to me about this, and I'm like, oh, there's things that you need to do. Like, as soon as you like notice and you have that in awareness, or, for example, like this time that we're in, like we're really close to eclipse season. So like a lot of karmic stuff is coming out or people are coming out from the woodwork. But I mean, when you're telling me like, oh, I started to notice that I didn't feel like myself, I wasn't like the same high vibes or my energy. And it wasn't like you were maybe reflecting on something. It was just like, oh, I had this conversation and now I feel real depleted, right? I'm like, okay, well, we need to get some music on there, like shift your energy or like get some selenite or black tourmaline or hematite. I mean, that's also why I'm always gridded with crystals, um, because I want to make sure I have that barrier, right? Or like you could have called in white light or, Archangel Michael or certain things, but that's also why like teaching people certain things to do to start their day, right? And even end their day, like protect ourselves and sleep so that like when you have that conversation with an ex or someone that could be activating or I should say like reactivating karma, right? Or certain experiences like trying to create cords, trying to create connections that we can kind of alleviate and be like, oh, actually, yeah, go down the sink pool that I have so that it doesn't enter into my frequency.
Is that hard for people to identify because a conversation can be innocent in nature, like maybe that one from her perspective, but from
Right.
my perspective, I'm just like, oh, why? Help me. Like, can
Yeah.
it be that simple for people to
Oh,
identify, or is it more difficult?
yeah, it can be as easy as that, or it can be like, if people aren't as aware, like you could be carrying something for days or years or months, right? But I mean, I think honestly, the energy that I'm getting from this interaction that you're telling me about is like as soon as you saw her name on your phone, it was like, oh, what am I going to deal with right now?
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm taking a page out of my friend's book and putting a coffin beside her name going forward, like that relationship is over. But you're right. Like as soon as I saw the name, I was like, okay, what is it for now?
Yeah, like I mean, I don't know, and I don't know how open you feel about it, but it's like, why did you even pick up the call? Like, are you still friends? But like, if this is someone that has the ability to really shift things, like you need to think about, do I really want to take this phone call right now? And how is this going to impact the rest of my day?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think sometimes people don't ask it of themselves. If I were to answer that for me, is we have a mutual friend, and then I agreed to help with a business situation. So as I was helping with a business situation, there was a little bit of personal comments. So
Right,
that's where it shifted, and that's where I said, okay, I need to discontinue it now
right.
because we're off topic.
Correct. Or maybe you just deal with a mutual friend for a while. Why does this other person have to be the middleman?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, now you got me reflecting. Why did I have to speak to that person? Maybe because I was trying to be nice.
Maybe, but I think there's like a shift between being nice and being kind, right? We can be nice, but nice can open the door for some things. Where like if we're being kind, um, we always are like trying to come from like a really supportive and I don't want to say kind again, but like the energy is different between those words. And I think sometimes nice can get us in trouble, where kind always has like compassion underneath. And so if you're thinking, oh, I need to be nice, that's coming from obligation and duty. And so that's going to have a very different energy, and that's already gonna kind of maybe potentially bring in some eggies.
Like someone may say that I'm going to be nice in this situation because I don't want to upset the mutual friend who's still connecting us in some way.
Right. Because like maybe a little bit of people pleasing, right? A little bit of like, oh, this is a little bit more complicated, right? Where like if you're gonna be kind, um, you're still gonna help the person, but it doesn't mean that you have to interact with this other person necessarily because it really doesn't deal with them, right?
When take it a little step further, when it comes to our relationships in the romantic sense, whether it's an ex or a current one,
Mhm.
the household energy,
Yeah.
does that impact individuals as well? And who creates that?
So first I want to say, since I also work with spaces, everywhere we live, like, so let's say we'll just make this real simple. Like, okay, like partner, significant other, and significant, like two people, right? Actually, it's three people in a relationship because you have to take into account the space wherever you live, like whether it's a home or an apartment or a condo, like, you know, because your home witnesses every single thing that happens. And if you are not clearing that energy, you're gonna like people are like, oh, I don't get why like this one area of my house, I'm always sad. I'm like, well, do you like always go cry there? And they're like, yes, I do. And I'm like, have you ever cleared that? No. So like that's gonna permeate. But like literally like every time you're on the phone with someone, every time like you have an interaction with anyone in the home, um, that is witnessing like your home and space is witnessing that. So if you're never clearing that energy, that's always going to permeate and that's always going to affect everything in your life.
So the couple and their space all contributes to it.
Yeah. So yeah, so basically it's like three people. So if it's a couple, actually it's not a couple, it's a party of three. It's
Okay,
never
now
just a couple. Like
you've piqued my curiosity. Go ahead.
even if one person lived by themselves, there would be two people in that household
From an energetic perspective.
from an energetic perspective. Yeah.
So this is why then if I went over to someone's house and I automatically feel a shift in my energy, it's not necessarily the person,
Right.
it could be the space.
Correct. It could be like, for example, like I go into places and you've gone to some places where you walk in, you're like, oh, whoa, what happened here? And you like immediately want to leave, right? It's because the space has not been cleared and it has witnessed something like really heavy. Like, what if someone had like a knockout blowout argument and that never got cleared, right? And then you go in and you're like, there's some really intense energy, but like you're like coming, let's just say a friend, right? You're coming to see your friend, and your friend is like calm, cool, collected, like you're like, "Oh, this is really weird that I'm feeling this energy from my friend when every time we have an interaction, he actually calms me down, right?" Um, and I'm not saying like your friend got into this knockout blow up situation, but we don't know who was there, right? We don't know. Maybe like there was people that came over, maybe there was people that lived in the space before that had that energy. Like that's why like if you're selling a house, if you're about to move into a home, like you want to clear that energy because that can really impact the rest of your life. Well, that time that you're living there, right? You just don't know what went on. So, yeah, that's an example of how you can go somewhere and you're like, oh, whoa, what happened?
Billion dollar question then. How do we identify it and how do we clear it?
So, I always recommend clearing. Like I always say if you feel like something is off, clear it. If you just feel, oh, I don't know why I need to cleanse and clear a space, then you should do that. I mean, so we're in my office. Well, we're like in this sacred space, right? And I'm in my office right now and I facilitate sessions here all the time, even just like, conversations. I'm constantly cleansing and clearing it, whether I'm using energetic sprays or sage or Palo Santo. I mean, I'm always doing things in like pairs because, again, I'm very passionate about this. So I'm just like gonna go and just like we're gonna go deep on this. But you want to do things in pairs because if you think about it, you're gonna cleanse and clear so that a lot of times people will use sage. I will use sage and like activate that energy. But think about it like you just got an antibiotic, right? And so that is gonna clear out everything, the good and the bad, like the stuff that's for you and the stuff that isn't for you, right? Like it just is gonna go to town. But then we need to, so kind of it's like a seesaw, right? Like we want the space to be balanced, but you like going with that sage or whatever you're gonna use, it's now like this. And then so we need to come back with, let's say, like Palo Santo, Copal, you could use some rose water spray to get it back to balance. So you had that antibiotic and now you need to follow it up with a probiotic so that your gut can be feeling all nice and juicy and good.
That's a really good point because you have me thinking of my current home right now. And there's a lot of work done. And I shared with you before we started recording that I actually had one of the charts done for myself and things like that. And I learned a lot about
Mhm.
myself and I learned a lot about my space. And then I wonder then, the people that come into the home, what type of energy could they then potentially leave? Those who aren't permanent, let's say guests.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I recommend like if you have like if someone's been sick, if you've gone to a hospital or you visited someone that's sick, if you've had guests come over where you're just let's say you're hosting a party, like a dinner party or something, or even you have people like staying overnight, like afterward, I mean, they're bringing their own energy. It's like for example, like whatever your favorite color, we're just gonna go with yeah, let's say your color is blue. Let's say my color is red, and that's like the frequency, right? But together we make purple, right? So when you have like people that come over and stay, like it's going to change the color combination of things. And so it's going to change, and we dump a lot in our sleep too, right? So we don't know what someone is, if they're staying overnight or, if they're getting in conversation and they're like, oh, this person is an empath, this person, well, they may not be thinking, oh, this person's an empath, but their energy is like, oh, this is a safe space. I can just unload, right? So even if like you're not a part of a conversation that happens in your home, but like someone's having an intense conversation in your home, that's just gonna linger there. So like that would definitely be a time to cleanse and clear. I recommend at least once a month. I'm doing it constantly. Like in my home, I typically do about once a week. But again, if there's certain like significant events coming in, then you would want to do that more. But at least once a month, because just think about like, moon cycles, right? Full moon to full moon or new moon to new moon. Like the moon is doing a lot of work in that time. And like in that 28 days, we are witnessing a lot, just even getting in the car or the grocery store.
I love how you breaking that down because that gives me a perspective where I can understand my car, that space, my house, the different rooms. It's like growing up, I used to hear my parents argue in this one room, and I hated going in that room. Now I'm
Yeah,
thinking maybe those strong, intense, combative emotions was lingering. And so when I would enter that room, I'm like,
yeah.
okay, this is somewhere I need to avoid. Would that be accurate?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I would say like that space like probably needs its own healing session, like from what you're describing. Um, because like Sage and Palo Santo, doing two things that is like one is your cleansing and one is like bringing your abundance, blessings, and positivity back in is going to be great. But like that space witnessed a lot. So I'm like, that's going to need a cord cutting right there, right? We're going to really need to do some healing on this space because let's say a person was witnessing all that you just described, that would be traumatic.
They sold that house.
Well, that's
So
good.
there's someone else dealing with this.
That's good. Hopefully the people that have moved in, have moved that energy and the space is happier.
Energy that's in a house, in a space. Can it then imprint on the person, then they can carry it and have it imprint on other spaces outside of
Totally.
where it originated?
Totally, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, energy can be stagnant, but energy can also shift. Like if like the energy from a home really likes a person, it can attach, just like anything can attach to us, right?
You mentioned crystals earlier. How do
Mhm.
they work and what are some of the benefits of the crystals?
Okay, so I'm so connected with crystals. They're like my friends. I
I
wear
know
them
that's why I asked.
a ton on me. Um, Well, I mean, you are speaking to a crystal healer. So it's always funny, like when I would just do Reiki sessions, I'd be like, yeah, also you're getting crystals. Like it's just I don't know, it's like a hazard of dealing with me, but or a benefit, like whatever, however you want to see things. But okay, so in crystals and crystal healing. So when we work with them, they come from the earth. So they are from a pure source, right? Just immediately, right from there. But again, like when we purchase them and find them, unless you're like digging them up and finding them, I would even say I would probably cleanse and clear them as well. But just from that standpoint, again, we don't know what they witness. They're like people, right? They're like our friends. So again, those cleansing and clearing practices are going to be really good to make sure, like from the get-go, that they are just as pure as they can be. But when we are kind of working with the ancient art of laying stones on the body, or let's say stones in a space, right? Or anywhere. Basically what happens because they vibrate much higher than we do. So like they're up here, our energy is down here. They basically lower their vibration and frequency, and then they come to us and they're like, okay, I'm going to help you. I'm going to raise your vibration. And then they raise it up. And so that's why after a crystal healing or interacting with crystals, even if you just like look at one, right? And you're not even really being intentional with it, you feel so much better. But it also helps release so many things like fear, stress, overwhelm, anxiety. It helps with like past life regression, future life regressions, womb healing, so many different things that you can do with laying them on the body or working with them. But then like to go a step further, right? When we are working with crystals, whether on the body or in spaces, you want to be intentional about it, right? You want to also make sure, like, yes, you get them. They're like, oh, they're so cute. I love them. Like, it's so cool to see them. But that's being real passive, right? That's like, I mean, I always like to use a sports analogy. So hopefully it jives. And if it doesn't, we can find something else. But like, you have we're in the game of life, right? And we have a team of players on the bench and they are cheering for us. They were so excited for us, right? That is passively just having a crystal, buying a crystal and being like, you're so cute. I love you. I'm so excited to see you and have you here. But then when we activate and we actually work with crystalline energy, that's being like, hey, these crystals, these players on the bench, I actually want you to actively help me in life. I want you to get in this game and start like shooting some like free throws, making some touchdowns, making some goals, like all those things. So that would look like, hey, this beautiful crystal that I got, I I need you to help me with my life. And you may not even know what this crystal does, right? You may be like, you're so beautiful. I know you have amazing properties, but like, I need you to help me. And so I'm going to ask that you activate all of your properties to help me in whatever area of my life that I need it. And then just know that it's doing its thing.
And then
Um,
there's different crystals that do different things.
Oh, there's so many, so many. Yeah, I mean, so like if we're talking about a home, like some of my BFFs, some of my favorites, I can't say it's like my favorite because they get like real upset and I have like a bunch of crystals behind me. But like selenite is like one everyone should have, right? Like when we were talking about earlier, and you're like, oh my gosh, if people came in my front door, are they bringing energy? I'm like, of course. So, having selenite or black tourmaline at the front door is going to be amazing because selenite is a cleanser and a clearer. It is the only crystal we don't have to actively like cleanse and clear because it is cleansing itself, and we can actually use it to cleanse and clear other ones. It's an amplifier. So it amplifies and boosts up any other crystal that it's nearby. It's a protector. It's a bringer in of white light. I mean, I've used this crystal on headaches. I've used it like personally. I've used it, to cleanse myself after a session. I've used it on stomach aches. I've used it like so many people, like I had someone so many times people are like, I have back pain. And I'm like, all right, let's have you lay on some selenite. And then afterwards, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. And I'm like, there you go. So it is like raising our vibration, right? And then black tourmaline is another protector. That is another one I'd have at the front. It literally absorbs all negativity and pushes out positivity. So it's therapeutic. So I would recommend it to everyone. I don't have to worry about, okay, have you worked with crystals before? What's your level? Will this be too intense for you? Because there's some where people are out there being really trendy and talking about it, and then people's lives are changing like a little too fast, or it's bringing someone out of alignment. So, like, that would be another one. And it's of the black ray. So, black is protective. Um, and then we have hematite, which that connects us to the earth. So if we're someone that's out of body, can disassociate really easily, this one's going to help like bring us back into body, ground. It's amazing for the immune system. And it also puts a shield or a barrier around us. So like some of those ickies, like when I learned in crystal healing to wear the combo of black tourmaline and hematite together, I immediately started not taking on everyone's junk.
That's so important for so many people because you can have, and you mentioned energy. You can have people around you taking on all their stuff, and then that's impacting your energy. But
Totally.
these crystals are there to protect you in different ways, but ultimately
Yeah.
making sure that not only you're cleansed, your space is cleansed, but anything that comes near you, it is like a barrier. Would
Yeah.
that be accurate?
Yeah, totally. I mean, like if we talk about a space, like I talked about the front door, you could do things like gridding, like in the four corners of a room or in a certain area of a room, like under the bed.
I need to get me some crystals, Tori.
Yeah, you do. You need
Yeah.
a, yeah. And I mean, we only talked, that was only three. Like there's so many other crystals, but like if someone's like, hey, Tori, what are the crystals I need? I would talk about those three and maybe add in, like lepidolite I really like and golden healer stone. Lepidolite because I feel like we're always grieving, like always. And that's a stone that helps with grief and emotional healing, and it is the stone of acceptance. Like we have to move into acceptance a lot, right? But it's also harmonizing the masculine and feminine. So, the masculine or the right side of the body is that like fiery red, and then the feminine or the left side is a light blue. So if we put them together, we get purple, right? And so that's harmonizing to our energies. And then golden healer stone is really good to revive energy, like especially like if I see someone, I'm like, oh, you need a nap. Like your energy is telling me I need a nap, but it's really good for healing as well.
For those who are, let's say they're going through a traumatic experience or they have gone through a traumatic experience, let's say they need some ancestral clearing or healing. What are some of the ways that you can assist them with that?
Yeah, so like coming in for a session and just having a conversation and then understanding kind of the connections, and then depending on what it is, doing a cord cutting or certain crystals. Like literally when I work with the different um tools, I guess it could be crystals, it could be sprays, really anything, right? Um because I also work with colors as well. That like kind of lets me know, and especially with the work with crystals, they will literally basically they kind of tell me where they want to go and which ones want to be part of the party. And if I don't put them in the right spot, I'm like real antsy. Like I'm like I don't feel centered, right? I'm like, oh, someone's not happy. Like which one is it? But like I would say just overall, like karmically with like ancestral healing, black kyanite is going to be a really good stone to work with.
You mentioned from a karma perspective, is it important to identify that perspective as well?
Well, I think, karmic, like the karmas are always around us. I don't think it's anything we can ever really, well, we can try to run away from them and like go into a cave in the Himalayas or go underground somewhere, but I think it will still come for us or maybe like you're like, okay, I'm just gonna opt out now, but in another lifetime we'll deal with it. But it doesn't necessarily have to be bad, right? It's just I think really being conscious about things and how you want to handle things as well and realizing that we're always in sacred contract with everyone, right? Like we had a sacred contract in some way, even if it's just for this one moment in time or like going to the grocery. I'm really into bringing up the grocery store today. Sorry. Going to the grocery store and you interacting with someone or witnessing someone or even like, having like this moment with the person ringing you up or the person that held the door for you or the person that wasn't paying attention, right? That's in some way because it's eliciting reflection and potential learnings.
You mentioned social contract. I wonder if there's people who are walking around thinking of it in that way, just because if I look at my circle of friends, I'm very wary of people's energy,
Yeah.
right? And how it impacts me. But that's because I have that training, or I've been around people like you who
Yeah.
have helped me along that path. To the everyday people, how can we get them to see it, to get them to connect with it?
Yeah, I think, it's a little bit about educating, but also it's just like, okay, well, it's not random that you are friends with X person, or it's not random that you're in relationship with this person. Um, it's divine. Or they're like something attracted. Again, it's the energy. So I think it's just about, and I think more people are kind of realizing and noticing it. But there are also going to be people that just don't understand or don't want to understand, if that makes sense. They're just like, okay, this happened to me. And it's like, okay, but why did this happen? Don't you want to understand and get to like go a little bit deeper than, oh, this keeps happening to me. That's so crazy. I don't really get why this pattern, right?
It's like we talked about earlier, right? Can't you see the greatness of this?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's interesting too because like people can come in for a moment or people can be with you for months or days or even years. And then all of a sudden, that contract has been fulfilled, like that evolution, the learnings have been fulfilled. And then all of a sudden you never see that person again or it just like it's less and less and less. And other people it's more, gets more intense.
Do you think in general that's difficult for people to accept that some people will just show up in their lives for a period of time?
I think it is. Like I was having a conversation, or maybe it's been like over a few conversations with like my mom, for example, and she was just like, I don't understand why this happened to you, Tori. I don't like, I just want these things to, and I'm just like, it's however, like I'm over here like yeah, however long I'm supposed to be in relationship with someone, because honestly, we're in relationship with everyone. Even if, parents, family, friends, interaction, like if we look at the astrology chart, we have the first house which is ourselves, and then we have the seventh house that mirrors, that's right across the way. Um, that is the seventh house of relationships. And people talk about that being marriage and romantic, but it's everybody, right? Like it could be your clients, if you have a business, it's every single person. And so I don't know, maybe this is more of like a Buddhist principle of like detachment, but if I am just at such a different energetic frequency than somebody else, why do I need to keep holding on to that?
When I got my astrology chart done, I was thinking about doing a move to a different part of the world. I'm in Canada. I was thinking about going
Okay.
to the States, and it would have been for love, as they say.
Mhm.
And before I was going to make my decision, I just happened to be with someone who was able to read my chart.
Mhm.
And they asked me the location where I'm thinking I was going and my feelings and everything in regards to my state of mind and what I was
Yeah.
thinking and feeling. Everything that they revealed to me was actually how I felt, but I had to find the words to put it in too. And when I realized what was going on, it was like, okay, this makes total sense. Even though some of the stuff that they were sharing was not something that I told them, it was just based on what
Mhm.
was going on. And I share that because sometimes it's bigger than us. Sometimes it's more than us. Sometimes we need the Tories in the world to help us along the way. When it comes to, since you mentioned it, and it's something that was new to me, and I would like to learn a little bit more. You mentioned color and color theory. What is that, and how does that apply?
Yeah, so colors have energies. Um, And so learned a lot about colors through the chakra system, but I also through my crystal healing because crystals have different colors and that carry different energetic frequency. And there's a lower and a higher vibration of each of them. And then I'll also say we have our own color system, right? So like I remember when I was in crystal healing training and we were talking about the color black and I was like, "Oh, that's such a negative color. I don't like black. I don't, it's all bad things. It's like ew, ick, whatever." And then, you can learn about all these stones and it's like, this is protective, this is shielding, this like all these things. I'm like, oh, okay. Like black doesn't necessarily mean black hole, right? Like when we could be facilitating like a crystal healing session, and when we're doing an active one, it's like interacting with someone versus like, oh, I'm just gonna take a nap and like I'm more passive and just like have this. But it's like the crystals are on you and we're really doing the healing and we're like understanding like what journey they're going on. And so someone could literally be like, I see the color black, right? Or whatever color, like brown or mud. And if you haven't really like been in the realm and thought about it, you could be biased to be like, oh, these are ugly colors. Like, oh, there's this third person is going to tell me something really negative. So it's like important to also understand and go deeper. Okay, so you saw these colors, what feelings are coming up for you. It's going to be very different if someone's like, I saw black and brown and mud and I'm just feeling so much joy. I just feel so safe, right? That's going to be very different. Like your line of questioning is going to be so different than someone telling you, "Oh my gosh, I can't think. I'm stuck. I feel like I'm in quicksand." Literally no thoughts, like all that. That's going to be very different, right? So I would say that there are emotions and energies with colors in general, but then we have our own. And how we interact and knowing those is very important.
So it's the energies that the colors have, and then it's our interpretation of them, or is it something else?
Yeah, yeah, like our own like index or dictionary of them, right? So, for example, like red is a very passionate color, right? But red can also correlate to anger and violence and frustration and irritation. But then red is also root chakra. It's very stabilizing, and there's different shades of red, right? If there's a little bit more brown, maybe it's a little bit more stabilizing. Red also connects us to the summer season that we're in the northern hemisphere right now. So, like, we could look at that, or it's connected to the fire element, which is connected to the heart. So there's all these different correlations to it, but it's also understanding like if I'm going to wear red, which I did not wear today, but if I was going to wear red, that could be a little bit more activating. That might be a little bit more triggering. It depends on our interaction with the colors. Like there is a baseline of, again, like these expressions, but then it's what have we gone through? What has like our perspective of life been and how we've been shaped to then determine how we interact. If someone has a lot of fire energy, they may be quick to anger when they see that red and be a little bit more feisty. And we could have a very different conversation right now than we are. So
Yeah, I look at like my color palette for my clothing. Lots of red, lots of yellow, lots of brown.
yeah.
Right. And to your point, there's times where I would wear, let's say, if I do a red and a black, or just different types, different brightness of red, I feel a different type of way. When it's
Mhm.
brown, I'm like, okay, more casual, more relaxed. But it's at this point, it's subconscious that I'm doing it, right? But to your point, maybe, or could it be something else?
I mean, it could be both. And then, we didn't even like you were talking, it was like, oh, I didn't even get into the planetary elements, right? So like planets are connected to colors. Like we're talking about red that's connected with Mars and Martian energy. And I mean, a lot of the words that I use were connected to Mars, right? Um, so like it's interesting too, because sometimes like we're led to wear different things on different days because different planets rule those days, or like if we have those transit, or we have like the transits are activating us in our chart, for example. So like you may notice that maybe on Tuesday you want to wear more red because Tuesday is ruled by Mars. Like that's his day. And so he wants to like really shine. And depending on maybe where he lives in your chart or where he's transiting could be like, oh, we got some positive interactions with the red, or oh, people were like real intense to me and like I need to dial this down. It could be also be like the energy or like what we're trying to put out there. Like for me, I love red. Like red is a power color. I've got some feisty energy here, so I really have to be careful like how I want to come across or who I'm going to interact with. I remember I had one client who was really like easy to anger. And so I was like, "Ooh, I cannot wear red around her because she will just go from like 0 to 100 real quick, and that's not healing for them."
My cell phone case is red, my wallet is red and black. Tuesdays and Wednesdays over the last couple of weeks, I wore red. So yeah. And I was born in April, Aries astro sign. So okay. I'm starting to
Yeah.
make a connection here.
Okay. Yeah, right? It's not like nothing's really random.
Let me ask you then, if someone was to let me take a step back. Most of the people that I speak to about this are women.
Okay.
Okay. When I talk to some men about it, they're like, well, okay, yeah, we can kind of see it. And sometimes I wonder then, is the approach different with men and women, or is it just finding them where they are, or is it something else?
So it's finding them where they are. So here's the deal. We're all made of masculine and feminine energy, regardless of our gender. And yeah, seriously. Um, and we are all astrological signs because we have the whole zodiac in our system. So when people are like, oh, I don't like whatever, whatever, I'm like, okay, well, that just means that you kind of rejected a part of yourself because you have that in you. Like that house didn't go away. It was funny. I was talking to someone and she goes, Tori, I'm only four houses. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. Why are you saying that? And she goes, well, I only have like most of my planets in four signs. And I was like, well, let's say you didn't have anything in the second house. Does that mean you don't have a family? Does that mean you don't feed yourself? Does that mean you don't need to make money? And I was like, no. And I'm like, also, that planet is in a house and it rules that house for you, right? So like it's still doing something. Sorry, I got on a little tangent there, but
Yeah, I was like,
um
keep going, Tori, keep going.
but yeah, no, I basically, and this has been like through practice. I'm human. I make mistakes too. I have to evolve and grow, but it's really about meeting people where they're at regardless. And I use a very different vocabulary for different things and what comes up. So like I have in human design what's considered an open throat. So I'm not really, I have, like the elevator pitch of who I am and certain things, right? But I'm going to use different vocabulary with different people and I get different downloads with different people. And so I'm not going to use the same like format for everyone because that's not what people need. Like when we were talking about the examples, I said, if this doesn't land, let me know. I'll find something else.
Explain the houses for those who don't know what they are.
Um, yeah, so there are 12 houses in a chart. I typically work with whole sign houses because that's just easier for me. But we have, if it was the natural progression of the zodiac, it would go from Aries to Pisces. And they rule different areas, like the first house through the 12th house, rule different parts of our lives, but they also rule different areas of our bodies. So if we think about it, the houses, like the meaning stays the same, but the signs change because not everyone is going to be an Aries ascendant and not everybody's feet is going to be a Pisces. Although there are those energies, right? Even though they move, because those are like the natural progression. Um, I'm trying to see if what else I should say about that. Did you want me to go deeper?
Yeah, because I know when I first came in contact with this and this explanation, I needed like two or three more sessions
Okay.
just to
Okay.
totally understand.
Yeah.
But if you could do like a general
Yeah,
overview,
yeah, yeah,
I
for
think that would
sure.
definitely be beneficial since we're talking about houses. Some
Yeah.
people are like, houses, are you talking about this house? No, we're talking about
Yeah.
different kinds.
Yeah. And so, okay. So basically, when you get an astrology reading with like your birthday, your time, like time is really important. But if not, depending on, you can use the moon as the ascendant as long as the moon doesn't change that day and then where you were born. But that gives a snapshot of where the planets were at the time of your birth. Like those are the energies that make you who you are. And then I am a Vedic astrologer, so I work with the sidereal system versus the tropical system, which is typically is about a sign behind because it takes into account what's called precession of the equinox, which is that the zodiac is actually moving backwards and the fixed stars, which kind of determines the signs, are moving backwards. And that comes originally, it's so Vedic astrology or Jyotish, the eyes of the Vedas, that comes from India. And so, when you were born, whatever sign was rising on the eastern horizon, because all signs rule 2 hours of every day, but it shifts. So, like, depending on what time of year we're in, that's going to shift what time is rising. And so that's going to shift the ascendant, or we would have like everyone being Aries ascendant at, I'm just making this up at like 5 a.m., 5 to 6 a.m., right? And so that wouldn't be like real helpful because not everybody is going to be born at that time, or, not everyone is going to be that ascendant. So that's what kind of determines a little bit about your ascendant, and then depending on where all the other planets are. And I'm just going to say we are so much more than just our ascendant, our moon, and our sun. Yes, they give us a lot of good information, but honestly, um, I have found that there can be a lot of disharmony with someone, a lot of friction with someone. If, let's say, your Mercury is not in a harmonious place, because Mercury rules communication and our communication style, it rules our mental mind, it rules travel, it rules sales and marketing, it rules all Wednesdays, it rules the color green. Um, so if your Mercuries are out of balance and you're communicating with someone and someone's like, I'm not understanding you, or like all of a sudden they're like wanting to be real feisty with you and you're like, I just said XYZ to you. Why are you coming on so strong? Right? That's gonna change if you want to hang out with this person a lot or not. And it doesn't matter their ascendant, it doesn't matter their moon, it doesn't matter. There's like that could all be real great. But then you get some of the other, we have 12 planets, we get some of the other things involved, and that changes our interactions. Because again, like you're not gonna like cut off your nose or something to like, oh well, I'm gonna get rid of this, and so now everything's gonna work out, right? We're all the pieces and parts of us. But getting back to your question of the houses, sorry, just wanted to give that background. But getting back to the houses, so if we look at it through the body, the head is the first house, the feet is the 12th house. So the first house is connected to Aries, and that is, like I said, the head. But that is all about you and yourself. So that's your appearance, that is how you want to come across. That could also be like how you came into the world. That is like your physical features. So a lot of sometimes like we can see that later in life, if someone has a son, let's say in the first house, that they may go bald or they may go gray faster, right? So that's your head. And then we have the second house, and that typically is connected to Taurus. So that is what you put in your mouth and what comes out of your mouth. That's like, I would say all the way up until like the neck, right? But that's about being resourced. Because if we think about Taurus, it's about resources, it's about time, it's our family. Um, So it's about food that comes in. If we have like a planet in the second house, like what we would call a malefic, one that, might hang out with more of the negative expression of things, that may be someone that likes to cuss a lot. Or even if we have a transit going through just for a little bit, you're like, oh my gosh, that whole month I was cussing up a storm, and normally I'm just so PC about things. Um, then we have the third house. So that's all about communication. And I will say the second house too, but communication style is the third house. The third house is like our hands and our lungs. It's about breathing. It's connected to Gemini energy, the duality of things, right? Masculine, feminine. And then we have the fourth house, which is connected to the heart, the breast, because it's connected to Cancer. And so that is also connected to giving love, giving like so much, that nurturing energy. Um, and then we have the fifth house, which is more about receiving. It's connected to Leo. It's about creativity. It's about childlike play. A lot of times it's connected to leadership. Um, it can be a little bit more independent, just like Aries can be like very independent. Like Aries is a pioneer, right? Like I'm the first sign. I'm out of the gates. Let's go. Um, and then we have the sixth house, which is connected to Virgo, and that is a different expression of like a Mercury ruled sign. So it's like more earthly bound versus the more air. But that is connected to your digestive organs. So if digestion is not great, and I would say the fifth house is solar plexus too. But sixth house is digestion. So if you've got like a lot of digestive things, like see if you have any planets there or how that the planet that rules that house is placed. Um, that's also a sign. It also has to do with karma as well, past life karma specifically. And then we have the seventh house. Okay, so let me back up. So one through six is like about really about you, right? And then we get 6 through 12, which is you in relationship with the other. So it's just like if you look at it, it's like amplifying. So like the seventh house is about relationship. Like before, the first house was like all about just you. Now the seventh house is about relationships, all partnerships, like business. You could, if you have your own business, it would be the seventh house. It's connected to the pelvic bowl, the pelvis. So we see that mirror. And then the eighth house is connected to anything hidden. Like it's our sexual organs, but it's anything hidden under the surface. That Scorpio energy. Sorry, seventh house is Libra. And so that Scorpio energy, like going deep, really like getting under the surface of things. But it's also second house is a money house, eighth house, like so second house is our money, eighth house is other people's money or spouse's money. It is in-laws because second house is our family. So it also is connected to insurance and research and occult and mysticism. And then we have the ninth house, which is connected to like the thighs. Really like houses 9 through 12 are connected through the lower body. So it's the thighs, but it's also like good luck and fortune. It's ruled by Sagittarius. It is connected to our dharma, like our purpose, our path, our spirituality. It can be connected to religion, depending on what you have there. But it's also long-term or higher knowledge. So third house is like lower knowledge or like going to like the different schools that we go to, like primary school, secondary, all of that, where going to like college or, beyond, or just being someone that's more into like the ancient, the classical studies. We could see that in the ninth house. The 10th house is the knees. I love this because a lot of the time we have stuck energy in the knees. So like if we're not being able to move forward, that's 10th house energy stuff. But we can see that as like, okay, are we moving forward with our dharma? Are we moving forward on our path? But that's career. That is our public life. Our fourth house, Cancer, was our private life. I mean, that's like midnight. So fourth house is midnight, and like midday is Capricorn is the 10th house, and that's the knees. So if you have like any knee issues or any like Saturn issues, because Saturn rules the joints, and the bones. And then that's also our reputation and our fame. And then the 11th house has to do with our desires, and it has to do with organizations and humanity. It's ruled by Aquarius, and that is more like the shins and the ankles. And then we have the 12th house, which is Pisces. It is like ashrams and prisons and hospitals, but it's also the prison that we put ourselves in. Like maybe you're like, oh, I have like a 12th house transit or I have a sign in a 12th house, but like you never went to prison. But like, have you mentally put yourself in a prison? Are you like holding yourself back? It's otherworldly. It's connected to liberation, devotion, the ocean, because it is a water sign, Pisces, and the feet. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I needed to tell you. That was kind of the Cliff Notes, Spark Notes version.
When you mentioned the 10th and the 11th house, it reminded me of someone that I knew that was having issues with their lower half of their body, especially the knees and the
Mhm.
ankles and the legs in general. And then you mentioned, I forget which one was dealing with, sorry, the 12th house, yes, with, it's not necessarily a prison, but it could be like a mental and emotional prison,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And they really struggled with that because they surrounded themselves with people that necessarily weren't the best. It goes back to our energy, and then they felt trapped, and then they became very negative, and it started to show up in their body from the lower half. Would that be an accurate way to try to connect in general in some
yeah,
cases where people are
yeah.
experiencing that type of pain?
Yeah, no, like when things are transiting there, or if something rules it, or if you have a planet there, you can definitely see all those connections. There's so much more that like about each house. I just really gave a like highlighted version because I mean, even the 12th house has to do with like sexual pleasures and sleep. Um, so like we could go deeper on all things, but it just felt like this was better. But yeah, no, if something like, or if a planet is just about to go retrograde or direct, or it's impacting your natal chart, or it's impacting, we also in Vedic astrology have like a progression. So like we have our birth chart, but then we have what you are growing into. So like, we have a tree and fruit grows on the tree, and then we call the D9 like what the fruit that has ripened on the tree, like the potential. So we also have that. So there's like so many things that we can look at, but for sure, if there's certain things happening, it's like what we notice the most is our physical body, even though we have mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic, and family systems, right? And so that's going to call to our attention to be like, hey, you're not paying attention to me or the other ones, right? And then the different planets have correlations, right? Like, so the moon is connected to the mind, but it's also connected to the emotions. The sun is one of our spiritual bodies, just like Mercury is one of our mental bodies. So I mean, we can see that as well, and then how it affects. At least for me, it's been right on point. So
No, I'm the way you're describing it, I'm like, yes, I can see what was going on with this person, what was going on with that person, and what was going on with me. So the connection is definitely there. Let me ask you, Tori, one final question before I let you go.
yeah.
I want to give you three wishes for this question.
Oh
What
God.
are, I know, right? Ooh, scary. What are three things you wish people knew about the benefits of energy clearing and why?
Hmm. That is really interesting because I always say, people depending on like everybody, I can list the the litany of benefits, but it depends on where someone is in that moment. I feel like if I feel like just with where the climate is of where we are in this moment, that it can help anyone. It can help your business, it can help your animal, it can help your home. And I feel like people don't realize how interconnected everything is in our life, that like one little thing is can have a huge impact. And changing 1 millimeter, as I think Tony Robbins said, can really change your whole life. And so if you're open to it, It's just energy work. I mean, we're all energy and we're all, honestly, we're all energy readers. It's just, I do this on a daily basis all the time. So I am really, really practicing. I'm really working out this muscle all the time. But even if you're not open to energy healing, start listening to what your body is telling you. That is a wish. You don't even have to come see me. You don't even have to go see an energy healer. You never have to look up chakra, whatever. Just start listening to your body because your body is telling you things. Your body has wisdom. And for someone to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened, and then look back and be like, oh, actually, I was really amped up and I didn't want to go do XYZ. And then this terrible thing happened to me. Um, I think also you just feel better. You just feel more like yourself. And I wish I could bottle that up and give that to everyone, but it's only for the people that are ready. And you don't, here's the thing, you don't have to get ready to be ready. And it doesn't always have to be so intense, right? It can be fun and magical. It could be like introducing you to like a new guide or introducing you back, reconnecting you to yourself, right? It doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, this thing happened to me and now I have to work on healing it and it's going to be like a whole thing. Um, it could just honestly be using kindness